Hello, everybody. This is Noah and John, and we are from UrbanDigs, and it is Monday, so you're going to get your Brooklyn weekly market update, Johnny. Let's get right to it. I'm looking at Brooklyn supply, came in at 2,575. Looks like it's ticking up just a little bit. Show me that chart.
It is a slight tick higher, but in general, the supply trend in Brooklyn is down. It's not surprising given that it's summer, but still a tough market for buyers in Brooklyn despite the summer slowdown.
Yeah, actively updated supply is at a low level right here in Brooklyn. But I mean, I'm looking at pending sales, Johnny. Let's shift right to the Brooklyn demand. Came in at 3,044. Johnny, charts. Let me know what you see there. Show me them charts.
Well, it's a tiny uptick. There was a big downtick last week, I think, heading into the holiday weekend. Brooklyn, similar to Manhattan, is going through a slowdown, and you're seeing it mainly on the pending side, on the demand side.
Yeah, and I guess market pulse is falling, even though both of them are kind of falling, together. So it's muting itself out. Generally speaking, I would guess that sellers are losing leverage, and the market is shifting to its new place. Where is that new place? We don't know, but it's not a dead market at all, as we're going to probably see as we go to the weeklies. Let's take a look. Let's look at supply first. 218 things. That's a tick up, Johnny, as you mentioned before after the holiday. Show me that chart.
Yeah, it's a tick up. And, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said that supply and demand are sort of, moving down in tandem. And that's what we're seeing here on the weekly side. Weekly supply has sort of ticked down to a much lower level. We're seeing around 200 or so units come on the market each week in Brooklyn. That's well below where it was last year at this time. And I think, we're going to get to contract signs in a moment, but that's sort of that's the weight on the market pulse right now. That's the side that's going to pull this down. And we're going to see on the contract signed in a second how that's moving as well.
Yeah, and I made a reference that we're not dead yet, and I'm looking at contract signed, Johnny. I might have to revise that statement. I feel like we got shot in the leg, and we're limping over here. Kind of limping, trying to get some attention going on here. 106. We are July 4th holiday. Yes, that played a role. We are in July, August, September. These are seasonally slower months, but that is a 29% move down on the weekly, Johnny. I know weeklies are noisy. And that's why we have you here to add some rationale and calmness to the situation. So, Johnny, I ask you, show me them charts.
Well, let's be calm about this and let's talk about it. So it's down about half from where it was at the peak, right? Usually we like to talk about Brooklyn seeing over 200 units signed in the contract a week left, but now we're down to about 100. So that's about half of, what we would consider sort of like heady peak volume. But again, it's summertime, and, that drop in the contract signs here has been a little bit more dramatic than the drop in active listings. But again, we saw that drop in actives, and now we're seeing a little bit more dramatic drop in contract signs. So that's what's pulling that pace of the pulse down, this drop in contract signs. And when we talk about Brooklyn seeing weakness on the demand side, this is it, Noah.
Yeah, this is it. And I'm not seeing a lot of off markets. You're seeing a lot of off markets in Manhattan. I'm not seeing a lot of off markets in Brooklyn. So that tells me that the sellers they're just not listing, or they're just choosing not to sell, and they're just hanging on there, and they're just seeing what happens, and maybe I'll get my bid next month or next week, hopefully. Okay, I want to shift the rental data. And before I do, I want to give a plug. I want to give a plug to the repositioning play. Good Guy Guarantee. He's a great follow in case anyone wants to follow him. And he put out this piece last week, a couple days ago, talking about the rental market in Brooklyn. It made me start to think. So I got to give a hat tip to him. How has the rental market changed since 2020 to 2022, right? Looking at what's going on. And you could see here, once I saw these numbers from 396 one bedrooms, 2000 or less to 23, once I saw these numbers, I'm like, Johnny, we got to go take a look at some charts here. So, we did that, and we're looking at this trend over time, and we're confirming what he's seeing. And this is just something. You get the blue bars are ones under 2K. You got the red that are twos under 2.5, and you get the orange that are threes under 3. There's a rental availability, Johnny. And I mean, what do you say to this?
Well, I mean, I don't like making comparisons to anything really 2020 because, you talk about the depths of COVID. I mean, the market was shut down. Things were weird, right? You saw rental prices actually spike during the piece of COVID simply because there's no alternatives. I mean, there was some weird stuff happening, and I hate making those references. However,
fade it out.
It's interesting to look at the June bar here, right? These 3 bars, that's 1 beds under 2,000, 2 under 2,500, 3 bedrooms in Brooklyn under 3,000. And it's lower than any bar going back to 2019. That's the number of these units. And now the question is, I mean, has Brooklyn appreciated that much where there's just so few of these on the market? Or is the question that there's just less supply overall? So, you gotta weigh these opportunities, but either way, affordability on the rental side is fading, and it's fading quickly in Brooklyn.
Yeah, there's just no supply. There's just nothing. I mean, yeah, that affordability, that level is just, there's nothing there. At what point, I know you always say, Johnny, the cure for these higher rental prices is in fact higher rental prices, and that causes the demand destruction, and that demand destruction causes the cycle to go down. And here we are in this cycle. We're obviously at the other side of the cycle. What could cause it? What else could cause these prices to go down? I know I'm putting you on your spot here.
Well, I mean, I think, you really just need more supply. You need a lot more listings hitting the market in order to, give some competition there on the landlord side to help them sort of, push their prices down. But this is summertime, and I don't see that coming until October, November.
Yeah.
I don't see any sort of, real respite from this pressure until we hit the fall. And even then, Noah, I mean, sometimes inflation hits and it feels really bad, but then after a year or 2 years, like, oh, that's the price now. So it could be just the market has taken a leg up, and these prices that we're looking at now are prices from the past. I mean, that could be the case too.
Yeah, and that's why I asked you, because I'm thinking the exact same thing. The next couple of months, I don't see how these forces change. I mean, maybe it changes a little farther out in the curve, but for the next 60 to 90 days, I would have thought, Johnny, that the stock market, the negative wealth effect in the stock market, maybe everyone's kind of, potential recession, that everyone's cooling down, everyone's taking it easy. That would have quelled the demand a little bit, but it would have started to show, I think, by now.
Yeah.
It's happened long enough that we would have seen something. So it's something we're going to have to watch. Until then, I got to think that this rental market situation in both Brooklyn and Manhattan has got to put some type of floor on where the sales market's actually going to fall to. And those investors got to be waking up. So Johnny, thank you so much for pulling all this data together. That is John Walkup. I am Noah Rosenblatt. We're both from UrbanDigs. Don't forget, if you guys got questions, we got answers, just visit our forum right down here. And if you want any of the reports that John whipped up today, they'll be right over here on the side. Other than that, this has been your weekly Brooklyn market update, and we'll catch you next time.